Welcome to a show where you will hear about how our liberty is being eroded by the very people that swear an oath to protect it.
Today, the president signed a big new anti-terrorism bill that would expand the government's ability to track down terrorists, but at some cost.
On this show, we will discuss many of the lies that the government that hates us, by the way, we will discuss the lies that the people in positions of power and influence spread every day.
And what is the best way to confuse children? Confuse them about their sexuality, confuse them about their gender, expose them to things that their little brains are not ready for yet. That is how they are confusing children. It is leading to chaos, and Big Daddy government, of course, can be there to pick us all up and take care of us at the end of it.
We will also talk about how current elected leadership at all levels of government has been corrupted by power and control, as well as discuss the types of leadership needed to correct our republic's course.
We the people. It was time to remember that we the people are the government.
Providing assistance for the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians, that's the number one priority for the United States right now.
I am your host, Larry Linton, retired U.S. Navy Command Master Chief and prior Tennessee House of Representatives District 12 candidate, and welcome to the Liberty, Leadership, and Lies podcast. Welcome to this week's show, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me tell you all, it's good to be home. Second, it is good to be home and fighting the good fight to defend children against the perversity that comes from the commies. Not only that, but it is apparent now that the good fight also has to be fought against weak, feckless, so-called Republicans as well, which we're going to discuss. I must also let you all know that this episode will be shorter than normal, as I have spent a lot of my time preparing for the fight that will take place in Sevier County tomorrow evening. In this week's episode, I'm going to focus mainly on an event that is scheduled to happen at the Sevierville Civic Center around 6 p.m. Saturday evening. Doors to the event open at 5:45 p.m., and I myself will be there a bit earlier than that for the reasons we are going to discuss today. I need to preface this event with a statement that I have taxed from another very influential conservative podcast host. So, hat tip to Mr. Dan Bongino, and thank you for this very true phrase. You cannot have communism without the kids. As you hear every week in the opening to the show, what is the best way to confuse children? You confuse them about their sexuality, about sexuality in general. And that is exactly what drag queen performances do. And the commies know this and embrace these type of performances. You have seen or heard about them popping up all over the country for a while now, in government schools, public libraries, parks, and public-owned venues everywhere. Drag queen shows are the precursor to this pandemic of transgenderism that is raging through the Republic. Drag queens and transgender women make a mockery out of real women. With drag queens, well, it comes in the most obvious ways. Flamboyant clothing or lingerie and garish makeup. All so some man can pretend he is a woman. As if that is all there is to being a woman, right? Lingerie and clown face makeup. Drag queens took blackface to a whole new level. Instead of mocking or misrepresenting one race of people, we now have perverts that mock and misrepresent half of the entire population on the planet. Women. Transgenders, well, they're taking it a step even further. Instead of mocking and misrepresenting, they are attempting to completely redefine what it means to be a woman and are erasing the true definition of that from our culture. They are playing at being God. For some background, earlier this year, the Tennessee General Assembly passed a law titled the Adult Entertainment Act. The law clearly defines adult cabaret entertainment. It states that adult cabaret entertainment is adult-oriented performances that are harmful to minors. Now, harmful to minors is clearly defined in Tennessee Code Section 39-17-901, and it states the following. Harmful to minors means that quality of any description or representation in whatever form of nudity, sexual excitement, sexual conduct, excess violence, or sadomasochistic abuse when the matter or performance is A, would be found by the average person applying contemporary community standards to appeal predominantly to the prurient, shameful, or morbid interests of minors, or B, is patently offensive to prevailing standards in the adult community as a whole with respect to what is suitable for minors, and C, taken as a whole, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific values for minors. Drag queen shows, they meet each and every one of those criteria, right? Anyway, the definition of adult cabaret entertainment continues in the law and specifically calls out drag queen performances in that adult cabaret entertainment is something that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, male or female impersonators, or similar entertainers, and includes a single performance or multiple performances by an entertainer. The Adult Entertainment Act further modified or clarified Tennessee Code Section 7-51-1407, stating that it is an offense for a person to perform adult cabaret entertainment, which we just covered in the definition in the Tennessee law. It is an offense for that to occur on public property or in a location where the adult cabaret entertainment could be viewed by a person who is not an adult. Now, here's another important takeaway from the bill that was put into law here in Tennessee, and we're going to cover that in a little bit. The law expressly preempts an ordinance, regulation, restriction, or, pay attention here, folks, or license that was lawfully adopted or issued by a political subdivision prior to the effective date of this act. The city of Sevierville is a political subdivision of this state. Now, this act, the Adult Entertainment Act, went into effect on the 1st of April of this year. Some city officials here in Sevierville have stated that the contract for what is going on this Saturday, that the contract was signed before the law went into effect, and therefore they cannot stop this event from happening. Really? That's just hogwash. The Adult Entertainment Act covered that, as I just read it to you. I have spoken or communicated with several elected officials here in my district and have received several different responses from each of them. The mayor of the city of Sevierville told me on the phone that the Tennessee Attorney General, Jonathan Scrimetti, told the mayor that the law was unenforceable in Tennessee, all because a federal judge out in Shelby County enjoined the law from being enforced. Now, that is problematic, and for a couple of reasons. The first one we'll get to right now, and the other one we'll get to in a bit. The first reason it is problematic is that if you read the judge's order from out in Shelby County, it specifically states the following, quote, "Judgment by the court. This action came before the court on plaintiff's complaint." That's one of those LGBTQ, or let's just call it the Alphabet Mafia's complaint, that was filed on March 27, 2023. In accordance with the findings of fact and conclusions of law, the court enters this judgment in favor of the Alphabet Mafia, declaring the Adult Entertainment Act unconstitutional and permanently enjoins, now pay attention here, folks, permanently enjoins Defendant District Attorney General Stephen J. Mulroy from enforcing the act within his jurisdiction in Shelby County, Tennessee, unquote. Now, nowhere in that judge's statement or conclusion in the order, nowhere does it mention any of the other 94 counties in the state of Tennessee. It specifically mentions Shelby County only, as well as mentioning the District Attorney General for Shelby County personally. Nobody else and nowhere else in that judge's order. Now, also keep in mind that judgment of the court that I just read and Sevierville City Mayor Fox's statement to me. And I'll reiterate that. What the mayor told me on the phone, not via text and not via email, was that the state attorney general Skermetti himself told the mayor that he could not enforce this law because it was enjoined statewide. Now, the mayor of Sevierville, he was the first person that I contacted after I heard about this event. So after talking with the mayor, I also contacted State Representative Dale Carr, State Senator Frank Nicely, Sevier County GOP Chairman and Sheriff Michael Hodges, and District 4 Attorney General Jimmy Dunn. So credit goes out to Representative Carr because his first response to me stated that he was pretty sure we passed a law against having any children at these kind of events, and that he will check and let me know. He also concluded his response, and rightfully so, with the word disgusting. And that was last Friday, the 25th of August. After I followed up with Representative Carr this past Tuesday, and again after my phone call with the mayor, he texted me that Representative Farmer talked to the mayor and the Attorney General and explained to them how the law read and that the mayor would take care of it. He concluded his message with a statement that I should be hearing something from the mayor any time now. Hint, I haven't heard anything yet. Gee, I wonder why. It may become obvious as we delve into this whole poop show a bit more. On Tuesday, I sent a text to Senator Nicely. He was gracious enough to respond to that text saying, hey, I'll call you later. And he did. He called me back later that morning. And we had a great, but also a disappointing conversation. There were some great parts of it that I will not repeat on this show, but I want to give the man some credit for being a pragmatic and loyal follower of his oath. The part of the conversation that was disappointing was almost a repeat of what I heard from Mayor Fox. And Senator Nicely told me that that's what his people were telling him. That the Adult Entertainment Act was on hold because of the ruling by Judge Thomas Parker out in West Tennessee. He had to cut the phone call short because he had to rush back into chambers to deal with some of the fallout of Governor Lee's ridiculous special session, which, by the way, was adjourned on Tuesday this week. It's mostly a victory, but there is always an erosion of liberty when any governmental body is in session. We'll cover what happened in the special session in a future episode, though, because the erosion of liberty all across the Republic starts with our children. Again, you cannot have communism unless you have the kids. That is why the left and the alphabet mafia are always attacking our kids. Drag queen shows that desire children in the audience, as well as participating, that is one of the ways these evil people work on confusing children. And that opens these children up to groomers. The curriculum in government schools and the sexualization and confusion of an entire generation is key to ushering in the communist utopia. That is the way they do this. Now, as I mentioned, I also emailed Sheriff Michael Hodges in his capacity as sheriff and as chairman of the Sevier County Republican Party. I asked him a few things, one of which is why is law enforcement allowing this to happen on public property, which is a clear violation of the law. I also asked him if the Sevier County GOP would be arranging any sort of protest against this event, since one of the main sponsors of the event at the Civic Center is the Sevier County Democrats. Sheriff Hodges took the position that he was in opposition to this event taking place, but that there was no preemptive plans to shut it down, even though it clearly violates Tennessee's Adult Entertainment Act. He said that the city police department would be there and that he offered them his department's assistance in the event of any laws going to be broken. Weird, right? Because the event taking place on public property, advertised as a drag queen show with no limits on age, is already breaking the law. Look, folks, I could care less if these mentally ill people conduct their drag queen performances on private property, out of the view of sane people, but they have crossed a couple of lines. They are being allowed to put on this demonstration of perversity in a public building, maintained by the taxpayers' dollars. Not only that, the organizers of this event have even stated that children would be in attendance and that some children would also be participating in what they have billed as a quote-unquote variety show. All of the headliners they advertise as participating in this event are drag queens. That's a double whammy, folks. A public place with children in attendance. Now, the next person who I contacted has not returned any of my emails, and that would be District Attorney General for the district that includes the city of Sevierville, and that would be District Attorney General Jimmy Dunn. And all that I have received, as well as many others that have contacted his office, is radio silence. We can pray that he will do the right thing, and his silence means that he does not want to advertise in advance what actions he will take. But that stands in stark difference from the District Attorney General for our neighbors in Maryville, in Blount County. There is a similar event taking place on the same date over there in Blount County. However, that District Attorney General has come right out and stated that he will enforce the law as written. Additionally, he also stated that he was in communication with the State Attorney General, who informed him that the law was only enjoined in Shelby County and nowhere else in the state. But wait, didn't the mayor of Sevierville tell me something completely different? Of course he did. That's the second problem with what the mayor had to say. So which one of these two is lying? If I were a betting man, I would say that the person that put it in writing for the entire state to read, that the state attorney general said the law was still in effect everywhere else in Tennessee, is probably not the one lying. If you're watching this episode on YouTube or Rumble, I've included screenshots of most of the information I am discussing today, as well as screenshots of just who these performers are that want an audience of children, that also want children to participate. Evil is the only way to describe what is going on. Folks, there are a lot of moving parts in this situation here in Sevier County tomorrow, as well as in Blount County right next door. There's also a lot of questions. First and foremost, where is the church? Every pastor of every church in this county should be knocking down the door of the mayor's office demanding that he follow the law and stop this perversion and sexualization of children from taking place. Secondly, why are the most confusing messages about the enforcement of Tennessee's Adult Entertainment Act only coming from elected officials in law enforcement here in Sevier County, when other locations around the state are pretty clear in their messaging? If you are a longtime listener to this show, you know the reason for that. Third, please pray for all involved for proper discernment in this matter, that the law is enforced and that the sexualization of children from people that are obviously suffering from a mental illness is stopped before it even gets started. Like a friend told me, there's a reason why live ammunition is not used in quick draw competitions. You cannot put the bullet back in the gun once it is fired. The same logic applies here. A child cannot unsee it when a stranger mimics sex acts on a stage or shoves their genitalia in the child's face. That is why this law is on the books, to prevent that from happening. If law enforcement and elected officials fail to prevent this from happening and only arrest people after the atrocious act is committed, they have all violated their oaths of office. Much as the recently adjourned special session signaled the start of early voting in Tennessee, the elected leaders in this community, in failing to put a stop to this event, kicked off early voting in this county. They will turn themselves into oath breakers, and I will make it my mission to keep this in the forefront from now until Election Day in this county. Fourth, if you live here in Sevier County and can make it down to the Sevierville Civic Center tomorrow, please show up to assist other patriots and people of faith in protesting this abomination. I will be there. Hopefully we can get a chance to talk. I might even put you on the show. As I said at the beginning of the show, ladies and gentlemen, a shorter than normal show this week. There is much work to be done, and I hope you will join me in getting it accomplished. I want to also let the audience know that these groomers and the members of the Alphabet Mafia are worried. So much so that they created a fake profile on the Bookface and shared with me a graphic that claimed the event was canceled. I believe they did this in the attempt to get me to spread the word that it was canceled. After attempts to check the validity of this brand new profile, only created Thursday morning, as well as trying to contact the Sevierville Civic Center, I and many others have come to the conclusion that they wanted people to believe the event was canceled. They wanted to do that so they could continue their performance in front of children and with having children participate. Makes you ask, why the subterfuge if what they are doing is artistic and beneficial, as they claim? Well, it's because they know it isn't, and they want to continue to operate in the shadows, out of the harsh light of truth. Again, please join me and other concerned citizens tomorrow at the Sevierville Civic Center. I'll be there around 4:30 or 5 p.m. I want to make one thing clear, though. This is not a call for violence. This is a call for a gathering of people to let other residents of Sevierville and Sevier County know what is going on behind the doors at this event. It's a call to expose the lawlessness of these people, as well as to expose them for what they truly are: groomers of children. So, that's it for this week. In closing, we have this week's wisdom from God's Word, and today it comes to us from Matthew 19:14. But Jesus said, "Let the children come to me. Don't stop them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these children." These drag queens, these transgenders, and most of the Alphabet Mafia are working to confuse children and stop them from understanding who they are. Fearfully and wonderfully made humans created by God, turning them away and setting up a lifetime of confusion and mental illness. We cannot allow that to happen. Not only us as individuals, but churches everywhere need to stand in defense of the innocent before they are corrupted by this abhorrent culture. Once again, thank you all for listening this week, and I pray that you join me in person this weekend at the Sevierville Civic Center. Until next week, stand in the arena with me, Reveille. It's time to wake up.